Okay, Molly. So, wedding countdown. How
Yes.
many days away are we from the wedding? Or what? And you might not know that off the top of your head. Maybe you
Oh,
do. What is the wedding date? Let's go that way first.
the wedding date is September 27th and it's just September 5th. So 22 days? I should
Oh.
know this off the top of my head. We have a countdown in our living room, but I forget to change it every day.
It's okay. It's totally fine. So that you are in wedding month. Has it
Yeah.
gone fast? Like, how long have you been engaged for? I don't even think I know that. Has it
We got
been
engaged last August, like August 2nd. So it was like
okay?
a 14-month engagement, so a little bit over a
I
year.
got engaged on August 2nd.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
A
cool.
long time ago, not last year, but that's so funny.
Oh
Yeah,
my God.
August
Did you
2nd.
also get married in September?
It was really quick. So we got married, or sorry, we got engaged August 2nd, and then we turned around and got married August 12th. So very
Oh, yeah,
similar, like a
similar.
little, like a month before how yours is shaking out. So that's so funny. Oh
That's
my gosh.
funny.
Well, August 2nd is a great date.
It is, yeah. But yeah,
Uh,
it's like it's gone by fast and slow at the same time. It was like, oh my God, we have so much time. We have so much time. Like after we like booked all the big things. And then like all of a sudden it was like mid to end of summer. And I'm like, oh my God, like we actually only have like 2 months left. Like it's not a lot of time. So now it's all of a sudden going really quickly.
Yes, the end definitely goes so quick. And then you will come to find that there is no day quicker than your wedding day. Like I will never forget being at my reception and hearing like we knew what the last song was going to be, which I don't even remember what it is anymore. But I remember being there and like hearing it and being like, there's no fucking way this night is over. Like this day is like it just goes so fast. Everybody says that.
I know,
Um,
so sad.
but
We
it's
spent
going to
so
be
much
the
time planning it.
I know, but it's going to be the best day of your life and I'm so excited for you. So for anybody listening, we will absolutely be linking so many things in the show notes. So one of the things that really made this episode come to life is your TikTok.
Hmm.
So we'll have everybody follow along on Molly's Nutrition, but I'm going to link the one specific video that I saw of yours. I like all of your videos, but this one in particular was talking about, how you're air quotes prepping for your wedding day.
Hmm.
I got married about 8 years ago, and my prep for the wedding day was very different. I wasn't in the full-blown diet culture days of like shredding for the wedding, but I definitely wasn't fully an intuitive eater and all of that
Yeah.
good stuff. So I thought it would be so cool to have Molly on to do the before and after, right? So we're in that before wedding stage right now, and then we're gonna have you on after to hear how the day was and how it all shook
Yay.
out, which will be so exciting. But so let us know, what are some things that you are doing for to prep for your wedding day? Like what does that look like as someone who's an intuitive eater? You have peace with food, you have this positive, neutral body image. So talk to us about your before steps.
Yeah. So first I'll say the video came about and my idea for the video came about was because I was starting to see, or I, not that my whole algorithm is that, but I was starting to see a lot of videos that were like things I'm doing for the wedding, and like it was like crazy stuff, like body changing, everything, just like things people would never do, and then they're getting married and they're doing. So I thought I'd
Which
do
makes
like,
sense because your algorithm is all bridal, right? And
yes,
mine is the same where it's like all babies and it's like how to lose the baby weight. And I'm like, what the
uh-huh.
fuck? So it makes sense that we're seeing like the diet culture versions of that season of life.
For sure, for sure. And it's hard to get away from. So I was seeing a lot of it and I was like, oh my gosh, what? So I tried to do a little bit of my take and like what I'm prepping or doing, to kind of prep for the
Mhm.
wedding. Um, so I'll kind of touch on what I kind of said in the TikTok and then also like expand upon it a little bit. But the first thing was that it's a little bit of what I'm not doing, but I did not change a single solitary thing about what I ate. Like my eating hadn't changed. It was just nothing, absolutely nothing changed. I did not restrict. And then in fact, like I emphasized in the video, like I was focusing on like making sure I was eating enough because when we're underfed, then we're not going to be able to be present during the day. Like that is my main goal is to be like as present as possible, especially like you said, like the day goes by so fast and like my engagement era went by so fast. So like just eating enough so that I'm fueled to be able to do all the fun things that this era of life kind of comes with.
I loved when I was watching your video how you were talking about exactly that. You want to be present and you even use the word I think in your video. I wrote down in heavy air quotes, I'm going to eat normally. And I think
Mm.
it's so funny because to you and I, eating normally is like eating whenever you want, eating whatever you want, eating to satisfy yourself, eating often. But a lot of people like eating normally that they're like, what? Like, what does that even mean? Right? Especially existing in diet culture. And you also made the point of you want to eat consistently and make sure you're eating enough because you don't want to be hungry and then not
Mhm.
like be fueled. So as a dietitian who you clearly support clients of, of all ages, but a lot in the same season of life as you, can you explain to our listeners like what are signs of hunger? Like if you're not eating enough, what is presenting in your clients, especially from like a mindset, thoughts about food, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, this is a really good question because a sign of hunger that I don't think is talked about a lot, that I talk with clients a lot, is if you are constantly thinking about food, that is a sign that you're being underfueled, whether it's chronically or in the moment, like you need food. So oftentimes, like before we get that like stomach growling, I'm like physically obviously can tell I'm hungry. Like your brain will start to kind of think about food, kind of like almost prep you to be like, hey, we should start thinking about like, where is this food coming from? What are we gonna have a little bit before we even get to like that that's stereotypical, like my stomach is growling, I'm kind of hungry, because I feel like sometimes at that point it's like, oh, now I don't know what to eat and I have to figure out what I'm eating, and then by the time you eat you're kind of ravenous. And so that is a sign of hunger, definitely. Obviously, like classic signs of, you're kind of feeling a little bit out of it, you're feeling fatigued, not able to kind of think straight, which is obviously why I'm like focusing on eating enough, because I want to be able to like have my head on straight. So those are a few signs of hunger that I can think of that definitely talk about with clients a lot.
Ding, ding, ding. You hit the nail on the head. And I think a big thing that, at least when I was more in the client facing role, like you are, so many people would come to me and be like, I'm obsessed with food, right?
Hmm.
And then as you get through the work, it's like, no, you're not obsessed with food. You're just really fucking hungry. Like,
Yeah.
you're not
Yeah.
eating. And so I think that is like such a beautiful depiction of what you were saying is like, if for any of our listeners, if you're like, oh my God, I think about food all day, I think about my next meal, I think about what I'm gonna eat. It's like, hey, let's check in. Are we getting enough food? And
Hmm.
oftentimes because of the narrative and diet culture and what we see online and all of the things, it's like we're like, oh yeah, I'm eating so much when it's like, no, we might not be getting anywhere near what we need
Yeah.
for our brain or our bodies to be fueled. And that's the beauty of taking insurance, where you can click the link in the show notes below and get that support with Molly and see if you are eating enough
Hmm.
using your health insurance benefits.
Yes.
Um,
Love that.
okay, awesome. I love that. And I think that's just helpful for people to hear because again, you and I can say it like, are you eating enough? And then people are like, I don't know. I have no
Right.
idea what that means, right?
Yep.
All right, so let's go to number two. What is the second thing that you are doing to like before the wedding, air quotes, prepping for the wedding?
Yeah. So the second thing is all related to more body image. So basically just making sure that my body image is like in check, which what I will say is because of all of the body image work that I've done internally for myself prior to this, I did not have to do that much during this era. Like it was a very freeing feeling knowing that like many years ago, if I would have been engaged, like I would have been in a
Yeah.
different situation. And my body image would not have been great. I would have been kind of overthinking pictures and overthinking the day and the dress and how I looked and everything. So what I will say is that I did not have to do that much heavy duty work. However, like things come up. Like this is still a big day. Like I am not immune to like poor body image thoughts just because of like the work I do. We're all human. And I always say to clients, like the goal is never to never have one of those thoughts again. It's to be able to like have a little blip of a thought and like move on and not have it like affect your whole day or your whole life. So I think some of the things I did was, and I don't think I said this in the TikTok, but to going back to the social media like algorithm is like scrolling past so fast any video that came onto my feed that was anything related to changing, even if it wasn't even that toxic. Just like
Hmm.
you can also like utilize the button that's like, I don't want to see more of
Yep.
this, but like just I think that really helped. I did not get that many videos on my feed that were too crazy. I think just my algorithm in general was helpful with that. And then just making sure I had like reframes in my pocket, like if anything came up. And at this point, like I said, like there weren't any kind of like crazy deep reframes. It was more so just like, oh, I noticed that thought. That's interesting. Like we don't like believe that. Like we don't subscribe to that, and like moving on. So that was kind of my big thing is just making sure like, is my body image in check? Am I where I thought I'd be? Because like these kind of situations bring past stuff up sometimes. But I'd say overall that did go well throughout this whole process.
I love that. I think that's so, so helpful. And I'm thinking about the people listening that might not be where you and I are, like
Mhm.
far along in this journey. And maybe they're at a place where they have an unpleasant relationship with their body, but they want to be present, right? They want to enjoy their wedding day. They don't want to be hyper fixating on their body. So let's maybe go to the dress shopping experience because I'm thinking of body image, wedding day. That's like such a thing.
Mhm.
So do you have any tips for clients that are maybe going or listeners who are going through, they're about to go dress shopping, they're feeling like uncomfy or unpleasant in their body? What are some things that they can do as they go into wedding dress shopping?
Yes. Well, I'll talk about a little bit what I did because actually dress shopping made me really anxious. This is the
Okay.
one time when body image stuff kind of came up, but not in the way you think. I was more shopping in general overwhelms me. And I was like, this is like a big deal shopping. Like people are watching you shop, and
Yes.
like watching you try everything on. And I was just very anxious for it. And I think I was looking back at it, I was more anxious that poor body image thoughts would come up and take over the day than they actually did, because they did not. But some things that I did to help with that, because I was worried about that was one, I was really picky about who came with me. I didn't make it a big group. I wanted it, for more reasons to just body image, but I was picky about who came with me. I only had my mom and my sister and then one friend. And my one friend is an eating disorder dietitian. So I was very much not worried
Perfect.
about her. And I kept it really small. Like I could have expanded it and invited other people and in-laws and stuff. And I just like, you know what, for my peace of mind, I'm just going to keep it really small. And I know that can be hard because unfortunately, oftentimes like body comments come from mothers and like mothers come with oftentimes for dress shopping. So I know that's really difficult. So the second thing I'd say is setting boundaries like early, like before dress shopping happens. I almost did this, but I ended up not, and it turned out fine. But like setting boundaries and just being really open and being like, hey, like just a reminder not to have any like body comments when it comes to the dress. Like only talk
Hmm.
about, what the dress looks like, if you like it, if I like it. And I felt like who came with me were really great about that. But that was on my mind. Something to do is just like set a boundary, just a little reminder, like, hey, want this to be a really good experience. Obviously it depends on your relationship with whoever you brought, but just having that. And then another thing too is like when you're trying on dresses. So you go and you try on dresses, and it's like if you go to like a typical like boutique, like none of it's supposed to fit you. Like it's just
Correct.
like this random size. They throw it on you, they squeeze it, they pin it all back. Like
Yep.
it, it's not supposed to fit you. Like, and the size, I didn't even look at the sizes because it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, like you are getting it tailored, like literally exactly to you. Like if there was ever a definition of like clothes aren't supposed to fit you, like you're supposed to fit that, like it's this because they quite literally tailor it to exactly your body. So like just remembering that when you're going through the process, being like, you're just looking at like, do you like the style of the dress? Do you like just the dress in general versus necessarily like how it fits on you? I honestly think sometimes that makes it a little easier than just regular shopping because you're not
Mhm.
looking at sizes. It's just like, know that like this is going to fit exactly to your body in the end. So,
Yes. And it's like depending like you said they only have one size of that dress. Sometimes it could be extremely large and they're clipping it and sometimes I remember there was ones like I couldn't get over my hips and it's
yep.
like this isn't a my body thing. This isn't a me thing. Like there's just random size in this store and it doesn't fit me. And that's unfortunate because I wanted to try the dress on, but I can't. And that's okay. And but I love what you said about boundaries, like keeping it safe, keeping it small, keeping it intimate. Um, and I'm like thinking of like my usual tips that I give in dressing rooms. I don't know if it really pertains here because it's like
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna say, I always keep my back to the mirror in the beginning, pull up the dress or, the jeans in regular day shopping and like, does it feel comfortable? But oftentimes these dresses do not feel comfortable. because they're clipping and pulling and doing all these things. So that's
Yep.
really hard to do. But I do think it could, depending on where someone is in their journey, like maybe you don't look in the mirror right away. Like maybe
Hmm.
you do go off of feeling and then eventually like look in the mirror. Obviously, you're gonna have to look in the mirror for your wedding dress. You're not gonna just
Right.
buy based off of feeling. But as you ease into the day, because it can be a long day, especially if you're going to multiple stores, like all the dresses. It's a really long, tiring day for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I agree. I was thinking about this too. I'm like, I can't really use all my normal tips because it's
Yeah.
because you're and you've also probably never worn a dress like that. So it is like uncomfortable. So you just have to go up like
Yeah.
you like the way it looks. Another thing too that I did after I looked in the mirror, but another thing is like yes, it's gonna be a little uncomfortable, but like, can you dance in it? Like, I remember like squatting and sitting. Like, my stylist, which she was amazing. She had me like sit and like pretend. She's like, "Can you eat? Like, can you breathe? Like, can you do that?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, like you gotta be able to eat and like dance during your day." So, kind of focusing a little bit more on that too.
I am like pointing to the sky, being like smart, because that is similar to what we do, right? Of like, can you sit in the jeans? Can you wiggle?
Yeah.
Can you dance? Because I look back at the dress I got. I mean, it was beautiful, but like it was, I forget what it's called when it's like tight around your knees. Like if I got married right now, it would be like probably just like I don't even know what I don't know any styles. I'm terrible with fashion, but it would be
Yeah.
like little tight on the boobs, and then it would just be what is that, A-line? What is it when it's just like
A-line. Yeah, yeah,
loose?
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, and I would want to like squat and get down and like dance, and like my dress was not like that at all. And I remember like struggling to sit and being uncomfortable, and it had
Oh.
nothing to do with my body
Mhm.
and everything to do with how the dress fit. So there
Yeah.
definitely is some of that advice I think people can take of like, how does it feel thinking about, I mean, styles of wedding dresses are so different. So
Yeah.
different. So how does it feel? Yeah, can you dance? Can you kick your leg? If you're a dancer
Yep.
and you like to kick, like can you do a free kick? So
Yes.
I love
Exactly. Yeah,
that.
I know. I was like dropping it low. I'm like, can I do that? And I'm like, yeah, I
Yes.
can. So we're good.
Yes, exactly. So important. So important. All right. So then the third thing for prepping for the wedding, what is your third tip or thing that you're working on?
I think I can't remember what I said in the third one. Was it like not sweating the small stuff and just kind of like
Yes.
that kind of thing? Yeah, this is a little bit less like related to necessarily body image, but it was very true. This whole process, I think that was another thing with the algorithm of wedding. It was like everyone seemed to hate wedding planning and like hate everything and just being like, oh, that's so stressful. I can't wait till I'm done wedding planning. Just like can't wait for the after part. And I'm like, I'm having like a good time.
Hmm.
So it was like very low stress, but obviously until this like last month a little bit. But I think just like remembering, and this actually can be related back to body image, but like remembering like why you're doing this. Like what is a wedding for? Like at the end of the day, like you're there to like marry the love of your life. And like I think we made all decisions around it being like surrounding the fact that like how do we make this like a fun day because we get to marry each other versus I guess like all the tiny little details and decorations and like dresses and just things like that. And I think that was really helpful too to just keep my mind at ease. So I wasn't so hyper fixated on like my body and trying to control something like my body throughout this process.
1000%. I had written your words down. You had said to try to focus on what you can control and not what you can't, and protecting your peace, right? And I think that's kind of been a theme through this whole episode. But I often, anytime a client has an event, whether it's a wedding, whether they're the guest of the wedding, whatever it is, it's like, what is your intention and what do you want to feel and experience that day? And I think that that is such a beautiful thing to reflect on. And you talked about that earlier, is like you want to be present, you want to enjoy the day. And it's so easy to get caught up in all the little things, whether it is a negative body comment, whether it's the flowers got messed up, somebody's dress ripped, like you name it, like shit's going to go wrong, but we can't control everything. And I think having that, like, I'm going to challenge you to pick one word right now. What do you want to feel and experience on your wedding day if you had to dumb it down to one word?
Oh, I have to think about that. Um, see. I guess just joy, which might
Mhm.
sound cliche. Like I
Oh,
just want to feel joyful, like happy. And that's
Hmm.
really like that one feeling that I want to focus on. Yeah, yeah, I would say that. Joy.
I love that. And so I'm going to challenge you on your wedding day when
Okay.
something comes up and you're like, ooh, or like, ah, and then you're like, oh, is this adding to my joy? Nope. Boop, let it go. And it's so easy to kind of
Perfect.
like use that as a filter because
Yeah.
obviously you're allowed to be upset, you're allowed to be pissed, angry, you're allowed to feel all the feelings, but
Yeah.
it's so easy to get caught up because so much is going on. It's very overstimulating. Everyone's coming at you and wants to talk to you and be with you and all of these things. So that I think can be really helpful. So
I'm going to remember that. Thank
I would
you.
say where that's going to be like our follow-up question on our after podcast. Did you
Yep.
experience joy?
Yeah. Gosh, I
Um,
hope so.
you will, you will. And so one other thing you had talked about in your video, which I think is a really important thing where this is like almost a myth of intuitive eating, I think, or of like in the body positive movement. You talked about how like I want to look nice on my wedding day. Like I'm gonna get a spray tan. Like I'm
Yeah.
allowed to want to look beautiful and confident in these things. So I want to talk about that because I think that with intuitive eating and when people do body image work, like one of the biggest myths and like things we see on social is like, oh, they're letting themselves go, air quotes. Oh, they don't give a shit about how they look. Because again, that's coming from a fat phobic belief system.
Yep.
So talk about how anything that's coming up for you of like, yes, you are working on positive body image, right? You have these positive body image thoughts, and you're allowed to want to be confident, beautiful, sexy, all these
Mhm.
things. So anything that's coming up for you.
Yeah. No, that is a really good question because I think honing in and kind of focusing on like obviously like I'm not going to try to change my body. Like that is very triggering to me and that is like not going to work out for me. Like that's, and I think that's like unrealistic to try to do that in it. But but for me, like, okay, spray tan. Like, I'm a really pale person, and like, as soon as like
Same.
the weather gets a little cooler, like my tan, my very little tan I got over summer, gone. So like having a spray tan is like, oh my God, this is so fun. Like, I got my first spray tan over the summer to like practice for my wedding, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm like the hottest person ever. It was so fun. I was so confident. Um, so I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Like that is that, I don't think that it's not like permanently like trying to alter my body in a way that, whatever. It's like a temporary thing. Another thing for me is like I always feel really put together when my eyebrows are done. So like I got my eyebrows done, just making sure I'm doing things like that. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with like doing small things that just like make you feel a little bit more confident if it's not going to kind of like control your life. And like if you don't have it done, you don't feel worthy or something like that. Or it's not so connected to your worth too, you know?
Yes. I love that. I did an episode, oh gosh, it's probably it was well over a year ago now, but it was talking about like the beauty industry and is that diet culture? And obviously there's so much nuance there, but it was talking about like
So much.
makeup, aesthetic procedures, Botox, like so many things. But I think you really beautifully tied it together where it's like if you don't have this done, does it change your worth? Does it change how you feel about your body? And at the end of the day, like we all have body autonomy. And I believe in the
Yes.
beauty industry, like these things are like an expression of who we are. It's almost like an art form.
Agreed.
And whoever is listening, like you get to do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
And that that at the end of the day is the takeaway. But like you're allowed to have a positive body image, not try to intentionally change your body, and be fucking hot on your wedding day. Like
Exactly.
those can coexist.
Yes. And like you said with body autonomy, like you also have the body autonomy to lose weight for your wedding. But just know that
Yes,
you do not have to and you can still feel really good about yourself and pictures and on your wedding day without doing that too. Like there is that option.
I love that. I love that so much. Speaking of pictures before we go, because that is
Yeah.
another one I'm thinking like all the things like, okay, dress shopping we covered,
Mhm.
pictures. That's a big trigger in diet culture, right? Separate from weddings, we hear from our clients all the time of like, oh my God, I saw myself in this picture. Or the opposite. Oh my God, I saw a picture of myself from years ago. I was in such a air quotes smaller body. Why didn't I accept myself then? Like, why wasn't it good enough
Mhm.
then? So, related to pictures on your wedding day, are there any anxieties for you? What do you want to look back at these pictures and see? if there was clients that you've ever talked about pictures, just all things pictures. Any tips, tricks, things that are coming up for you?
Yeah. I definitely think having like working through a lot of body image issues helps with pictures because no matter what you look like, if you
Totally.
have poor body image, like you're gonna look at those pictures and
Yep.
that maybe not like them or pick them apart. I'm not too worried about pictures, although like obviously stuff comes up sometimes. I think it's really helpful when like you like do like an engagement photo shoot so you get a sense of like
Hmm.
being in front of the camera. Like sometimes people never get professional pictures taken until they, are at a wedding. And remember, like you're paying a lot of money for a photographer, like they're gonna make the pictures just look so good. Like they're gonna look, so good. Um, Another thing too, and this kind of goes with more like pictures of like if you have a bridal shower or something like that. A tip that I always give clients too is like if you go on a trip or whatever, you take a lot of pictures, is not trying to like look at the pictures for too long in one sitting. Like not like hyperfixate and zoom in and do all of that. Like set a timer, look at your pictures and like that's that. And then also like when it comes to the wedding day, which we can talk about more about after and how that kind of went for me,
Yes.
but is like remembering like okay joy during that day like look like remembering how I felt during that day and like what happened during that day and like that was so fun and I got to marry the love of my life and like all this stuff I think is really helpful when we're looking at pictures. It's like, what does this day symbolize or this picture symbolize versus like my body size and what I looked like in the picture.
Exactly. Moving it back to that emotion versus the physical. And I wrote down photographer and underlined it when you were talking because throughout from my wedding day till now, just in my career, I've worked with a lot of different photographers, videographers for work or pleasure. And one thing I will say is having a photographer that is highly trained makes all the difference.
Yeah.
I have been with photographers before where I was in a very positive place with my body, but they were barely talking and they're just taking pictures and I'm like, I don't fucking know what to do. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
But then you'll have a photographer that is like, fuck yeah, girl, you look sexy. Like turn your chin, do this. And you're like, it's so fun. So that is
Yeah.
a tip. If we have any brides that are not close to their wedding day, haven't picked their photographer yet, if you can
Mm-hmm.
do like a trial shoot, like you said, or interview them and say, like, do you give guidance, stuff like that, because I think that makes all the difference is how the photographer talks to you and guides you and like hypes you up while they're taking
Yes.
photos.
Oh my God. No, you bring up a great point because I remember now, I was nervous going into our engagement photos because it was with our wedding photographer. Like the engagement photo shoot came with the wedding
Hmm.
photo shoot. So I remember being nervous. I'm like, I've never gotten professional pictures like this. I don't know what to
Yeah.
do. Like, I was nervous. I was kind of like, nitpicking my outfit. I'm like, I don't know. But she was so awesome, which made me glad I chose her, obviously. But like, she told us how to pose and do this, and she was like saying things while we were posing, and it was like so fun. And like, it helps.
Yes.
Obviously, my partner was like so into it as well, and we were laughing the whole time, and it was really fun. But yeah, if she would have been silent and just like, okay, do something, I'd be like.
Yes. And I have had friends that, whether it was for weddings or like newborn photo shoots, the photographers were like dead silent and they hated their pictures because we're not models. Like, unless you're a professional
No.
model and you're trained behind the camera, you don't know what to do. So, that I feel like is such great advice. And it goes back to what you were saying with dress shopping. Like, it's like the opposite of a boundary, but like asking and saying like, "Hey, like I feel uncomfortable behind the camera. Can you make sure?" Like that's something you can obviously
Mhm.
voice to a photographer if you already have one picked out. But that could be something to just really make sure when you're interviewing your different vendors with a photographer to ask them about that. Just see if they're fun and playful because that yields such a beautiful picture. Like you think about candids, like I hate how it's like, okay, laugh.
Yeah.
But like when someone's taking your picture and they're like, okay, smile, versus when someone's behind the camera like doing something goofy and like making you laugh, it yields
Yeah.
joy in the photo and it makes all the difference. So
Yes. I
I think that's a
remember like
fun
our
tip.
photographer had us like to get us to kind of laugh. It was like she put us in position, then she's like, okay, talk about your favorite, like, was it pizza toppings or cereals or something? And it was just so kind of like funny that we were like, what? And we're like, I don't know, that's what I had cereal. And then we're like giggling to each other, like,
Yes,
so it was a good prompt.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So amazing. Well, thank you so much for sharing all of this with us, for your vulnerability of, sharing your own stuff, but how you support clients as well. I think it is going to help so many brides. This will be the episode that we send to every single person that is getting married, got engaged, etc. And so any brides out there or soon to be brides that are listening, what do you want to leave them with? If they don't remember anything from this episode, but you want them to remember one thing, what would you like them to remember?
Yes. Um, I would say that throughout this whole process, remember that your partner wanted to marry you, like the you that you were on the day like you got engaged. So you don't have to completely have a transformation to actually get married. Like your partner wants to marry you. They want to marry you, your personality, your soul, your spirit, everything like that. So you don't have to have this big transformation before you get married because they just want to marry you. So
I love that. You are enough. Whoever is listening, you are enough.